everyone, welcome back. So we continue on our 2023-2024 season previews with the Nashville Predators today. So, Nashville, obviously, they're a team that has been kind of in a weird spot the past couple of years, I'm not going to lie. They have gone from a legitimate contender to now a fringe playoff team at this point. And it looks like, even though they're transitioning into kind of like this new era, they still, in some level, want to stay competitive. So regardless, let's look at their last season, 22-23. They went 42, 32, and 8 for 92 points. They were 18th in the NHL, and they missed the playoffs. Obviously, they came closest. They were the team that was, in the fight the longest. And although, I will say this, even though, it was a year where they missed the playoffs, they faced so many injuries. I think it's really impressive that John Hines got them through all of that. So I definitely think he deserves some credit. However, he is gone. Hines has been fired, and Andrew Brunette has been brought in as the head coach, which I like a lot. Obviously, he did some good things with Florida in that year where they were really good offensively. And, yeah, I think he's definitely a good move. David Poyle retired, and Barry Trotz is taking over as the brand new general manager. Obviously, that's an interesting move there as well. I like those moves a lot. I feel like they're moving in a better direction. Just what they did in this offseason is very, very strange. I'm not going to lie. So your departures list goes as follows. You have Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, Mark Borowiecki, Cal Foote, and Zach Sanford. So not that big of a list there, but Duchene, solid top 6 guy. I'm not going to lie, he was overpaid. But still was a good top 6 forward. Johansson was a good second-line center. Borowiecki was probably a depth defenseman, honestly. Cal Foote was, I don't want to say the same thing, but it just never really worked out. And then Zach Sanford there, too, was a depth forward there as well. So overall, your departures list there, not that big of losses. I wouldn't be too worried about those if I'm brutally honest with y'all. It's not that big of a deal. The arrivals list, though, kind of contradicts that. It's really weird. They got Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist, Denis Gurianov, and Luke Schenn. So here's my weird thing with this. They go out, they get rid of Duchene, they get rid of Johansson, and they bring in virtually the two same players, just, I don't want to say downgrades, but they brought in O'Reilly and Nyquist. It's kind of weird, but then again, Nyquist and O'Reilly are on lesser contracts than Johansson and Duchene are, so I guess that plays a factor. But obviously, it was kind of weird bringing them in. But yeah, regardless, Gurianov will play a good, probably bottom 6 player role, and then Luke Schenn, a solid, probably first pairing defenseman if we're being honest there, on Nashville. So yeah, I like that a lot there. For the Predators for sure. Your lineup now goes as follows. It's via the Hockey News, so don't come at me for these lines. You got Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Gustav Nyquist as your first line. Then you got Jakob Trenin, Tommy Novak, and Luke Evangelista as your second line. So it's a young top 6. I will say that. That second line is young. Trenin, Novak, Evangelista. Definitely going to prove interesting there. They really do look like they want to bring in younger players and start getting them some ice time. It looks like that's the direction they want to go. But their first line, obviously, Forsberg, O'Reilly, Nyquist, going to be a solid first line for sure. But yeah, the top 6 isn't the best in the world, but it's still pretty decent if we're being straightforward. Your bottom 6 goes as follows. You have Juuso Parssinen, Cody Glass, and Philip Tomasino. Then you got Kiefer Sherwood, Colton Sissons, and Denis Gurianov. Then for some extra players, you have Smith. If I'm correct, that's Cole Smith, Mark Jankowski, and Joakim Kemmel. So let's go through that bottom 6. Again, young. Tomasino, Glass, and Parssinen, a younger third line there. Glass obviously had a much better season last year. He seems to be going into the steps of improvement. Tomasino and Parssinen both looked pretty promising last year. So seeing them in a full NHL season could definitely do some good for Nashville. Obviously there too. I mean, the fourth line isn't bad. Sherwood, Sissons, and Gurianov, but I would imagine guys like Cole Smith and Joakim Kemmel are going to get some time there as well. Kemmel especially will be very interesting there on that right wing side. But yeah, that's your forward core. It isn't terrible, but it still isn't. I don't know if I'd say it's playoff worthy at this stage, if we're being honest. Your defense now goes as follows. You got Roman Yossi and Luke Shen, then Ryan McDonough and Tyson Berry, Dante Fabro and Alex Carrier, and then Jeremy Lazon and Jordan Gross. So, not bad. I like that defense. Good first pairing of Yossi and Shen. I think that first pairing is perfect. You have a really solid offensive defenseman in Yossi and then a great defensive defenseman in Shen. It kind of connects perfectly, if I'm being honest. It really does. Second pairing is good. McDonough and Barry I like. And then the third pairing of Fabro and Carrier is interesting too. I would wonder if come trade deadline time, they would look and move Fabro because he was on the rumors there for a while. We'll see if that happens, but, obviously we're still a ways away from that, and we shall find out, of course. And then your goaltending, too, is kind of the same. It's got Saros and Lankinen, and then Askarov is your third-string goalie. I like the way Lankinen played last year in the backup role. He seemed to be fitting as a backup, and Saros there, too. Obviously a great goaltender, even though they tried, they tried to trade Askarov during the draft. But yeah, regardless, honestly, the goaltending is a little bit interesting because you got Askarov and Saros. I'm not entirely too sure if you're going to be able to run both those goalies, so we could see something happen there this coming season, but obviously we'll find out because Askarov is aging closer to where he's ready for development at this stage. Your X factor is the forward core. The forward core is young. It is. The middle six is the main part I look at. It's a very young middle six. There are some old guys on here. Nyquist is up in age. O'Reilly and Forsberg obviously aren't young, but they're not old either. So obviously it's going to be interesting there to see how those guys are going to do and how those guys will click and see how the young guys will fit themselves into the lineup for sure. Biggest question I think is return to playoffs. Can this team return to the promised land in the playoffs? I don't know. I feel like they could, but I also feel like they couldn't. It depends on how other teams do. But I feel like they have a strong possibility of making it as a wild card, but nothing more than that, if we're being honest. But yeah, if I'm Nashville, I'm focusing on building up that prospect pool because they have a decent one, I'm not going to lie. And a lot of those guys are going to make some jumps to the NHL this year, but it needs to get better. And I feel like they are in a better spot than people may think they are, but they're not in a spot where they're contending just yet. We're going to see a few years of them being either mediocre or just outright bad. We're going to see that for sure. Your point projections here are now via the Hockey News' fantasy guide. You got Yossi and Forsberg tied at first with 70. Then at third, you got O'Reilly with 56. Novak in fourth with 44. And then Glass in fifth with 43. So obviously I like those point-o-meter there. Very good numbers. There's really nothing else to it there. Your sleeper or your bust is Tommy Novak. Nashville is a gem, and Tommy Novak, 26, who piled his craft in the AHL for 3 years while making an NHL impact last season among Preds. Only Roman Yossi had more points per game. Novak will provide more offense on a team that needs it. And yeah, Novak, I didn't go too in-depth with him, but he actually had a really good year last year, and definitely a player you should look out for. Probably on that second-line center there for Nashville. I understand why they got rid of Duchesne and Johansson, because they wanted to give the younger guys a better chance at getting roster spots for sure. But yeah, Nashville got a lot of work with. We'll see how this season goes for them. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. We have 3 more teams left, continuing on with the Stanley Cup champions, the Vegas Golden Knights, tomorrow. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.